Okay, so welcome everyone to the project. I'm just going to scroll up. So our project for 2022-2023 is Creativity Offers Us a New Formula for Life. The idea behind this is to put creativity back in the position it should be and move away from relying on things, as we seem to do as a society, on the measurable or the explainable, and just enjoy being creative. We started the project some months ago, actually, and we've been recruiting people since the end of last year. And we are now moving much more towards the kind of culmination of the project. The project itself is to enable everyone to have the chance to bring creativity into their lives. This is not about being an artist or just an ordinary person, basically. You could be a mathematician, you could be working in whatever role that you currently are. What we wanted to do was bring back some of that creativity so that you have a framework basically to do that. The team itself is headed up by Julie Samuels and myself. We are both fellows of the Royal Society of Arts, Commerce and Manufacture. Now, that's a London-based organisation. It's 300 years old. It has a royal warrant as well, but don't worry about that. It's just...
Don't let that put you off. Sorry, couldn't resist.
It's a long-standing organisation, and Julie and I are both members of that. We also have Rashida, who's online with us this morning as well, and she is one of our regional managers, if you like, who will be working in Africa and will be hopefully bringing some other people from that region on. But she's also got an absolutely incredible project that we can look at. Carlos and Mitch, who both are not able to be here this morning.
Mitch is here.
Mitch is here, fantastic. So Mitch will be probably pitching in as we go through. And as I said, we're lacking Carlos today. Carlos is in South America. He's in Bogota, and he's leading up that part of the project. So if we have a look, can you still see I'm scrolling now?
So I've been busy chopping and changing. So the idea is that we want people that have not worked with someone else before to connect. So the projects, I've been kind of working through them. So maybe if we look at, I don't know, let's look at your one, Zoe, for example, further down. So what I've been doing is I've been grouping people together through conversations and working out where the connections are, that people maybe kind of cross collaborate and kind of share experiences. So we've got Sophie's, if we look at actually Sophie's one, tassels off. Sophie should be joining us shortly. So Sophie is a former student of mine, and for this project, when we connected, Sophie decided that she wanted to explore burlesque and use it as a tool for kind of body positive imagery, etc., etc. And because she's a vlogger and she's got autism, she's got on the spectrum herself, neurodiverse. We've had really interesting conversations about that, how that impacts how we see, perceive, and engage in the world. So we connected with Burlesque Hall of Fame in Las Vegas, a wonderful lady called Buttercup, and Buttercup's been interviewed, a burlesque group here in the UK, local to us in Lincolnshire. They've been videoed and interviewed, and now that Sophie's got all those the videos with the text captions on it, the next phase is for us to work out how we're going to move that forward. So myself and Sophie are discussing kind of books and additional material. So Sophie is the lead on this project because it was her idea, and I'm kind of an advisor and a supporter to kind of help move the project forward. So there's quite a few projects where I'm involved, but I'm that advisor, where I kind of provide technical support, kind of ideas to help move forward. But that's a really exciting project, because also for this project, we're in the UK, we're working directly with an organisation in Las Vegas. So that's the kind of, so it works both ways because we learn a lot about each other. So the idea is that we try and do those types of connections. The craftwork and sewing bee, that's just, we're putting that one together now. That's a neighbour of mine, and she does quilting and textiles, and she does dressmaking, she makes dance costumes. And the other lady, Christina, is from the Philippines, now living in Malta. And she makes beautiful bags and things. She customizes out of denim and tablecloths, beautiful work. And she didn't know a lot of people. So I've connected with Lorraine and Christina. Are going to start meeting online and talking about their love of sewing and craft. And that we're going to record. And they're going to start making things that they show each other. And we will document how that kind of, because also it's about making a friendship and new relationship. So those are kind of the ideas of the project. It's not always about this amazing thing you made at the end. It's about the journey and the friendships and the connections that you make along the way. That is also part of what the project is about.
Yeah, and I'd agree there with Julie. The story is something that we'll spend quite a bit of time on and will be displayed in both the book that we're going to put together and the exhibition.
And also, so we've got this craftwork and sewing bee. So Lorraine also, she loves 1940s to kind of make, do and mend, and she makes like 1940s clothes. So we've got a vintage seamstress in 1940s, and her and Angela, who kind of, you know, they customize clothes to make it 1940s with the hats and stuff. They're going to talk about why it's good to kind of recycle clothing, you know, what you can learn about from vintage fashion, some conversations there. That's another project they're working on. And Phoenicia, PJ, I put you down. Currently your title is The Joy of Painting, but we need to work on that title. So Phoenicia's on there, one of her images. And I've got a project spot for her there. We just need to have a conversation about what she wants to put in there, how she wants to kind of write about what she does. So we're starting to add those people. Sylvia's got a clay project. I've got a meeting with Sylvia at the weekend to discuss the interviews that she can do about the kind of a clay network that she set up in Yorkshire, UK during lockdown. So it's lots and lots of it. And we've got Mitch's project. We've got the Women of Free Colour. So it crosses kind of lots of kind of cultural backgrounds, lots of disciplines, you know, people that are doing craft and art for just pleasure, you know, health and well-being, people that are kind of professional artists that want to engage in a different way. So it's a whole host of different type of creativity and kind of ways of kind of pulling together. So we've got Sawyer Rose, we've got Angela there.
Yeah, and just so everyone's aware, on the Augmented Society Network, you can actually see the session that Sawyer did with Angela last month. The podcast is up. So if you want to learn more about this incredible project, you can. They are making some enormous banners based on the names that they've managed to uncover of the free women of colour in what's known as the antebellum here in the USA. So they're bringing back to life those people. Now, while the banners are absolutely massive, not all of them can we display, but we will be photographing and documenting all of the work that they've done. But if you want to know more about that, just go and have a look at the Augmented Society website. We'll put the link in there in a moment. And this project has kind of gained a whole life of its own. And we're hoping that this will actually be touring the United States as a completely separate project, which is really exciting. So what they're also doing here is they're actually creating learning materials here, aren't they, Julie?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so there's a whole another strand of activity that has been initiated as a result of that. But in a moment, Julie will put the link in so that you can actually see that talk. It's absolutely worth 40 odd minutes of your time. So do have a look at that. That's probably one of our biggest projects, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the other projects look like some of the other projects are starting to kind of get a life of their own and suddenly, you know, it's like an initial idea.
Yeah.
And I think it's now that they're working with other people, lots of projects are starting to kind of grow through different kinds of conversations.
That's the point as well, isn't it? Yeah. The point is that this should start to open up the access to being creative. Now, we've also said that this is not just about artists. So Mitch is here. Maybe Mitch can talk through his mind shifting session that we did. When was that? A little while ago,
I
actually.
think it was like March.
March. Did you want to just take us through that, Mitch?
I'd rather Rashida describe it.
Oh,
Put her on the spot.
Sure, I can describe it. So I'd love some contributions to the game. It's a role-playing game where teams get put together, 4 to 7 people, and in your team you're in a village in medieval Europe, and you have to solve problems, and you're given a specific problem-solving style in order to solve the problem. And you're giving instructions in about 15 or 20 minutes. You have a role as a member of the village, and then when we get back together, we discuss how it played out using those different decision-making styles, so we can compare and contrast. Trying to collaborate, trying to compete, trying to drown out other people, trying to bring out other people, different styles of group decision making. And then at the end, your team is given another a final task, and you can pick and choose from the different styles that we went through in the game, how you're going to solve that problem. And then we get back together and you relate why you chose those and how those worked instead. So the game itself takes about 7 hours. The game itself takes around 4.5 hours to play in its entirety. In March, we kind of went through a half of a scenario in the meeting, and I could use some help. If you're interested, people reviewing the game, people coming up with other scenarios or other characters to add to the game. And I'd love to get people together and do an online version. You need a minimum of 12 or 13 people in order to play the game.
So we are aiming to try and do that. So anyone who's here today who would like to play that game, just put your email and name into the chat, and we will start to try and find a time that suits everyone. But that is definitely something that we're aiming to do. I know Professor
and actually, so it says, I see a message from Sophie Lavender that says she can't hear anything. So as long as she can't hear, is there anybody who has any bad stories about her that you want to tell?
That's wicked.
I wonder why she can't hear.
Oh, she said she's fixed
oh no,
it.
she probably heard that.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Good.
so
I hope she heard it.
Brilliant.
Sorry about the tech issues.
No
But
problem.
now I can hear
Sophie.
everybody, so it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
we can hear you. Yeah, lovely.
Good.
Thank you, Sophie.
Great that you're here. And while we've got you here, would you be willing just to talk through your project?
Yeah, of course.
I did a quick rough cut of it, Sophie, but now that you're here, you can explain it better.
To be fair, you probably explained it really well, because I've been keeping you up to date on absolutely everything. Whenever there's been,
Literally every
like,
stage.
the tiniest update, Julie has known about. you know everything. So yeah, so basically this project is exploring the link between body positivity and mental well-being to like burlesque and cabaret and kind of literally all that jazz. So yeah, so far what we've been able to do is that we've done an interview with Buttercup in Las Vegas, and we also had a day of filming with a local burlesque troupe in Lincoln. And so both of those interviews have been edited and they're on the Google Drive. We're now just thinking of, I think the last thing that we spoke about, Julie, was maybe what can we do physically with the content that we've created, and how can we get what we've already made out there.
Yep. I wonder, Sophie, if there's definitely a matchup with the actual event in London in November that you'd be considering.
it would be wonderful to be able to have a space where we can show the photos, but also screen the interviews so that people can like sit down and listen from the burlesque dancers, their point of view.
Yeah.
Also, what we've got is that Buttercup wants to teach the group local to us a routine. So that's the next thing to organise, that they're going to learn via the screen, a Vegas style performance as well. But the idea that they would then perform here. So that's the next thing that we've got also to arrange to make that happen.
Yeah, and something I briefly met with Buttercup, and something that they do here, if anyone's based in Vegas, they do is it the Challenge of the Titans? And that's burlesque, but you have to be over 70 to do that. So Julie, you're up for that.
She's rude, isn't she?
Yeah. So I don't think anyone's based here in Vegas, but it's just such a fantastic organization, actually, and incredibly inclusive. So thank you, Sophie. That looks great. I think there's definitely space there for something as part of the event as well. Whether we can do that live or not, I'm not sure. And also there's a couple of people here who are managing the virtual reality space for the event as well. Julie and I are meeting up with them next week. So if anyone here is interested in doing virtual reality, that is also an option that we can help you through as well. So is there anyone else here who's got a project that would like to talk through it? I can talk through mine over here. So as you can see here, we've got about 20 projects. This doesn't reflect the total number of projects that we've got underway. This just reflects the amount of time Julie's had to present it in this beautiful way, and also the amount of content that we've had in relation to describing those projects. So when we've finished with this part, I'm going to actually briefly take you through how to get involved, what we need from you, where to get the form to fill in to actually take part. In the meantime, my project is about sitting down with people, drawing them, creating their portraits, and then sharing ownership of that and recording ownership of it through blockchain and cryptographic recording. So whilst you sit and have your portrait drawn, I'm going to tell you all sorts of things about why you need to think about personal privacy, what's coming with some of the new technologies, how companies actually take your data that's referred to as exhaust data, for example, the kind of data that your phone is collecting every time you pick it up and look at it, and the importance of understanding that. Now that can be a bit dry, so I'm capturing you while you can't move. And I will do it mainly through photographs, so I don't need you for very long. But what I also do is then give you ownership of the artwork that's actually going to be created, which is a huge satin banner. It's 5 by 6 foot in size. And it combines 14 people's portraits, and they all then have 50% ownership of that piece of work. That ownership is recorded via a cryptographic block. The conditions of sale of that block and that piece of work is also recorded. So moving forward, you are involved in owning a large scale piece of art and benefiting from the sale of that piece of work. So there's several things going on, really, teaching you, or hopefully engaging you in some of the drier topics of the importance of knowing about privacy and data. But equally, the joy, hopefully, of having your portrait drawn. They generally go okay. I've had a couple that I've had to redo, But on the whole, they've turned out well and they look like you. And also the deep joy of owning a large scale piece of art. So I did just do a call. So I have all of my artists, all of my, beg your pardon, sitters for this next portrait banner. But I will also be carrying that project on because it's got a life of its own. So my project is called Ownership, Privacy and Creativity. It's over here on the Notion site. And again, we can give you those contact details. There's my, that's the portrait of me that you can see at the top there. And there's some of the details that I've just been talking through. So that's my project. I'm gonna close this now.
Zoe, I can talk about mine.
Oh yes, please, Diane, that would be absolutely wonderful. So we just have you over here as under yarn bombing, but
Right.
clearly you can do whatever you want, but you've already started, so please carry on.
So I have a small project that I started last year, which is an embroidery project, and tried to get others involved in it. I had actually one person from Vegas and one person from Buffalo participate. But if I push this, I think I can get more. And I'm connected to a senior center that has a lot of sewers in it. So I think I can get them on board. And what we've been doing is embroidering on vintage handkerchiefs inspired by another project called Tiny Pricks, which came out of Canada. Yeah, and those were all very political, but these could be or don't have to be. So basically, what was embroidered was the phrase, say like so much creativity, but so is spelled S-E-W. So
Okay.
We're talking about making. And so, you know, we could, I've also done these on vintage neckties that are blank that I would find at the thrift stores. And the ones I've done in the past are things like talking about Trump. They would be like so much to expose, so much in the balance, but it's always SEW. And so, you know, I can see, I can envision people embroidering, you know, so much hate, so much love, so many guns, so much, you know, creativity. So what, you know, just constantly using this SEW pun to express a lot of different thoughts, emotions about our current situation or past situations, anything that they want to really. And then it would be, because then you've got this final piece, which is rather precious. I could see it being put on t-shirts. So imagine a vintage handkerchief with lace around the edge and the embroidered message in the center of a t-shirt. That's all I've got right now.
Wow,
That's wonderful. I love it.
sounds amazing.
It does. So Diane, we'll send you the form because I thought everyone that is names, if I didn't have any information, I just grabbed something, a bio off the website. So when we send you the form, you can send us the image that you want to use for this, and then the text that we need to use, and we can put that on the form later.
Yeah, so whilst everyone's still listening, I'm going to go very briefly through the form and just the stuff that we need so that you can kind of join this, not officially because we're not really, you know, into that kind of thing, but just so that we can build your project, display it on our Notion site and make sure that you're absolutely part of this. So,
and then we can regularly check in to make sure that everyone's on track. So then you've got our contact details and we can say, oh, just check and make everything's going okay.
Absolutely. So this is slightly dry, but this is what we want you to do. And it's just basically just to remind you what the project is about. This is just the one piece of paper that you need to fill in. Just to remind everyone that the project really is about thinking differently. responding to a situation that you find yourself in, not with logic, but with creativity. If you can work collaboratively, that's brilliant. That's absolutely wonderful, because a lot of that learning happens when you're talking about it with somebody else. But if you can't, that's absolutely fine. And your project can be of any size. So please don't think, oh, I don't think I've got enough. Because as soon as you start thinking about something, it can blossom and become something else. The experience, the thing we were just talking about, is as important as the things that you create. So if you want to document the journey as you go, that's great, but you can also document when you've finished and you've kind of thought, well, I think I know what I learned from that, or this has happened as a result of that. So just to remind everyone, the project isn't just for artists, it's for everyone, and it's completely free. The project can be as big or as small as you like. You can be whoever you want to be. And it's that journey and what you produce that will be what we use as the artifacts, if you like, of the project itself. There will be an exhibition, and it should be in the centre of London. We are just confirming dates and so on. So we will get back to you on that. And there will be a celebration event in the what's called Steps area of the Royal Society of Arts RSA House, which is just off Trafalgar Square. So we've got the most brilliant location for this. The coffee shop will stay open late, and the event will run in the evening in London. And we are looking for things that can happen during that event. So we're hoping to do a live link up with Rashida, with Carlos down in Bogota, Rashida in North Africa, and for those people that can't make it to London. So it is possible to do something live. Now, Professor Gemma Marmalade isn't here with us today because she's actually flying. I think she's in the skies as we speak. Now, her project is about resonance, and it is a live event that we'll be covering for that evening. And it's a disco, and the movement of people within the disco is recorded by the reaction of fern plants to the moisture and the movement in the air. And it's the recording of that activity that is forming part of that project. So the plants they're not mic'd up, they have sensors, and ferns are known to move more with changing environmental conditions. So this is the kind of thing that Gemma comes up with, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So that's something that's already we're hoping to have, and that would be a live link up with Derby University. So have a think about that. So if you're more of an event or a spoken word or a poet, or you want to display something, Sophie, I was thinking about you here as well, then that is an option for you at that celebratory event in November. So thus far, your work will be displayed as printed, photographed, video, interactive VR, or a physical artifact. So that will depend on what you produce. We will ask people to self-print work, and we will be confirming 2 locations for those works to be sent to. One here in probably my address, that's the most likely, and then in the UK, which we will confirm. We can only accept physical artifacts if they're deliverable to the UK. So if you are making something physical, you may prefer to photograph it. That might be a better option for you, unless of course you're in the UK. But I will also take work over from here. So I'll be over there in London in November. We are going to be confirming the original work and print sizes very soon, so we can let you know that. And we also have the drop-in sessions. Those drop-in sessions happen at 12 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 3 o'clock every month, and they follow on from this session, and I'll show you, that's the link to get them, but I'll show you the link to get to this document as well. And just to let you know, we cannot as individuals take any responsibility for any kind of terrible thing happening. We hope that that won't happen, but please bear in mind, if you produce something that you value, treat it accordingly. And our advice to you would be to photograph it rather than giving us the real thing. We will do our utmost to treat everything with the absolute care that it deserves, but just bear in mind that might not always be possible. So our deadlines, basically, the form that I'm showing you, we need back by the 15th of July. The deadline for work is really the end of August, but we can stretch that a little bit. Question 4 and 5 of the form below are the questions about your experience and what you did. So we can't expect you to have those by July. So you'll be able to re-input this form with that.
So are you showing the form is not showing on the screen? What's showing is the original page.
I thought she's still scrolling, aren't you?
Hold on, let me just reshare then. So you should be seeing the actual form.
No. We can see the top half of the form, but not the bottom half that you hadn't completed. So she's explaining the top of the form, but the bottom half is still.
Okay, because you were saying, you know, like 4 or 5.
Oh, it's further down.
Yeah, I'll get to that. So I'm just going through the dates here, and then ta-da, this is the form.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so we will be creating an online version of this, but to just get the ball rolling, this is the form you need to download. So just really straightforward things, the things that Julie pointed out on the website, your name, project title, we can always change that, but we need the title to move forward. A very brief project abstract, we showed you Sophie's there. Mine's available as well with a maximum 100 words. We don't mind if you go over a little bit, but we need that to be relatively short. The most important question here, question 4, having used creativity as a new formula for life, what changed? What was the impact on you and others? That's the bit that's likely to be on display as well with your physical or photographed artifact. And that's the bit, you know, when you go to an exhibition and you start reading the blurb underneath and you start thinking, wow, now I get it. It's that will be incredibly important. So expected outputs, basically photographs, spoken word, and object, that is absolutely up to you. So, you know, think big, think small, think however you want. We also need your biography. So 80 words, again, we can go over, but we don't really want massive. We don't need to know where you went to school. If you have any contributors with you, then make sure we've got your email and theirs so that we can get in touch with everyone and keep everyone updated. Equally, clearly, tags are a thing. So if you have a tag that you want us to use when we're going through any social media activity, please do that. If you have a website, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever else, if you can provide us with those details as well. And what we've done, hopefully to be helpful, is I've included my form at the bottom here. So you can see how I've answered those questions. So you can see here that my expected output is a photograph and a satin banner. I've talked about being able to talk about digital privacy stuff because I've got you captive. So I'm using portraiture to spread the word about data and privacy and so on. So you've got a lead there basically on how to fill that form in. So that's all we need for from you. So I'm going to stop sharing that and I'm going to show you where to get that from. So let me just make sure I can take you to the right place.
Does anyone have any questions? No questions?
No, so I'm just going to take you then to the website. So this is basically where absolutely everything lives. There isn't a link to the project site that Julie's shown you, but we'll be doing that. So if in doubt, then you need to come to the augmentedsociety.org website. So this is where all of the meetings are. This is where you can see our podcast as well. So you can see here the May podcast with my name in your hand. It's actually 50. It might be a bit shorter than that, but do have a listen to that if you want to get a feel for one of the big projects that's underway. Now, this is the event we're at the moment, the 15th of June one here. This is the one that happens at 11. And then we've got one about generative AI, which we're discussing next month. So if you want to come to those, please feel free to do so. The project runs under the Creativity Project banner at the top here. So if you come into this area, then you've got, see this link, the contributor form here. So this downloads that Word document. It's got the email address of where to send it. It's also got the PDF for the whole project, I beg your pardon. So that's all the work that Julie and I did behind the scenes with the purpose, the values. And this is what we shared with the Royal Society of Art so that they know what we're up to. And the presentation here, if you want to download that, you're very welcome to do that as well. If I scroll to the bottom here, you've got the links for all the remaining sessions. So these are the 12 o'clock sessions. So these are the ones that basically follow on from this one if you've got any further questions. So that's where you find everything that you need. There's the contributor form. So we will email this out to everyone who registered today, but we also have a mailing list that we will be using. So that's all of that information. I think that's pretty well describes everything from our point of view, Julie, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. A few people have had to dash up and sent their apologies, but they said that they're interested. So we've got lots of one. We'll hopefully get some follow-ups.
Yeah. Oh, Tony's back. So anyone got any questions they would like to ask? I know Julie just asked, but we've taken you through an awful lot of things.
I can't think of any questions at the moment. Because it all sounds really good.
Thanks, Sophie.
It's getting really, really excited. I love Diane's project. Everyone's projects are so fantastic. So Tony, please, whenever you're ready, reach out to us, share your ideas. No idea is a bad idea. Correct. The only bad idea is the idea that you don't share.
Yeah, is that you don't do it and you think, no, I'll just.
Yeah. So it can be a small thing, some poetry, some piece of writing, you might have taken up sketching for the first time and you want to share the joy that you've had from taking up sketching, anything like that. These are all the kind of little stories, the journeys that were really fascinating, we find fascinating.
Yeah, I'm just going to pop that link into the chat as well, so everyone's got it. And again, we'll provide this information to anyone who's registered here, so that you can join in. If you could get it to us, you don't need to know exactly what it is that you're doing at this point. You just need a working title. We've got 20 projects on the Notion site that we'll also give you a link to as well. We just want to get you on there so that we can start doing our checking in and getting everything. Because Julie and I are getting to the point now where we're actually starting to formulate the exhibition itself, the supporting book that we're going to create, and all of the other information that goes along with doing this kind of project. Just as a reminder, we're checking out the VR space next week. So anyone working in virtual reality, we have an absolutely brilliant space. It's based on Siberia Cafe, which was the first cyber cafe in the UK back in 1994. It's been rebuilt architecturally correctly, but instead of putting a London street outside, they've designed a sculpture park. So there are currently artists displaying their work in the sculpture park. So it's a whole virtual space. We can also meet there as well, and we're hoping that we'll have that as part of the live event in London in November. So I think we could probably wrap up then if there's no other questions, if everyone's happy.
Any question, just email myself or Zoe. And yeah, and the idea is to connect with, once we've got the Notion site set up with the bios and everyone's contact details, because like, there's somebody that you want to connect with them, because the email details will be there shared. So if you like what they're doing, you want to get involved, you don't have to come via myself or Zoe and say, can you introduce me? It's there for you to introduce. So Diane, Lorraine that does the 1940s sewing, it'd be great if you could meet with her. You could talk about, you know, and I do, and then a lady called Shelley she does weaving and stitching. She and you know, and myself, and you know, lots of us, and Rashida's doing their costumes. There are lots of nice, interesting conversations we can have around that kind of textiles and making things as well. So some great conversations that we should all have as well and learn from each other. And that is also part of the journey.
Yeah.
So those kind of new connections and friendships is also just as important.
Great. Okay. If anyone wants to drop in on the drop-in session, that starts at 12 o'clock West Coast, 2 o'clock East Coast, 8
p.m.
UK. I think Rashida's in the same. Is she 1 hour ahead?
I think she's an hour ahead. Yeah.
So join us there if you want to. You absolutely don't have to. Just remember that session's there. If you've got any questions, you can find us both online every third Thursday of the month. And that's in addition to our ASN sessions. Just a quick reminder that next month we have the generative AI discussion. So we'll have some very interesting guests who are involved in that world, and hopefully we can shine some light on everything that's going on, because it's a whole huge discussion that we should have had a long time ago, actually, AI and so on. So if you're interested in that, please join us again in July. But otherwise, I think we'll say goodbye. That rhymed.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening.
And you. Bye.